BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC, head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. Welcome to Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals, part of the Bleav Network, joined by former tight end and Super Bowl 33 participant Ed Smith. My name is Javon Adams. Be sure to subscribe, comment, rate, and follow this podcast, and tell all of your Arizona Cardinals fans and friends to do the same. You can watch us on Bleav TV around the country, in airports, and on YouTube. Read the top Bleav stories at si.com and follow us across all our Bleav socials. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. What is good, Ed Smith?
What up, though, Brother Jay? I hear Miss Lila in the background getting it in over there. She must be excited about these Cardinals with this shot to, get this one in against the Seattle Seahawks, man. But yeah, the season kind of hangs on this game. I mean, 6-6 could turn one way or the other. Fortunately, we have them at home this week, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so that is going to be, we can definitely get into X's and O's and all those things, but that is the upcoming opponent is the second matchup of the Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals. The first, of course, that first matchup in Seattle just a couple of weeks ago, the Arizona Cardinals fell short. And so this is one of those things where when you start to get into the math of it all, if the Cardinals lose this game, but let's say they end the season with the same record as the Seahawks, essentially they lose because they lose a tiebreaker. So if they lose on Sunday, it's almost like being 3 games back. So it really does matter in terms of to really come out of this game with a W. So let's get into that a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, what do you think? The NFL every now and again gets into these little trends where it's like oddball things happen, and it's going around the league. There's a couple other instances of this too, where in the last 5 to 6 weeks of the season, divisional opponents are finally seeing each other for the first time, and then playing each other like a week or two, like 2 weeks later. That's the same thing going on over in Pittsburgh with between Cleveland and the Steelers. It's like we're jamming a bunch of the divisional games late into the season. Do you like or dislike? I for me, it's like I'd rather have early taste, late taste. If I'm a coach and player, because they already breed these matchups already breed familiarity, and I don't know, just seeing a team 2 weeks after we just saw them, I don't know, it feels odd.
It does feel odd. I do like the way in which they try to make all of those division matchups happen at the end of the season. That, yes, but I think that's when those second matchups should be coming around. Yeah, because it is a little odd when you're talking about we'll see you in 2 weeks, and we're in the tail end of the season. So I do think that they should adjust that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's more time. You played them a couple weeks ago. Why not be the matchup for week 17 or whatever? It just seems like boom, you squeeze one in between, and here you go right back. And these games are really important, obviously, because they're divisional games. I just why jam them all in, right back to back.
Right, exactly. I agree with you wholeheartedly. So let's get into. So having said that, with a little bit more of a pressure cooker feel, let's get into this a little bit. So if we're looking at the Seahawks, and I'm pausing because if I'm looking at the standings, right, and this is one of those funny things. If you look at the standings, the Seahawks are at 7-5. It's all bunched. I mean, it's all bunched up regardless. I mean, even the San Francisco 49ers, if they catch fire, which I don't know if they will this season, but if they catch fire, they could be right in the hunt. So when you look at the divisions, like the NFC West is just murky and ugly. NFC South is the same way. Is this what you expected in terms of with the with the NFC West, or were you like me and you thought that the San Francisco 49ers and maybe the Rams would have been the ones kind of jockeying for position, maybe trying to go for double-digit wins? Because right now there's just a couple of those divisions that we look at. What was it last night with the Detroit Lions? They're 12-1. Minnesota Vikings 10-1. So it's some of those, and it's still kind of contested, but the win totals are higher.
Yeah, no, I thought this division would be top heavy, meaning I thought the San Francisco 49ers were going to be pretty much running away with this one. And, and when I say running away, I mean couple game lead, heading toward their normal double digits and wins, whether that be 12 or 13. And you look at it and it's the exact opposite. I mean, you got Seattle on top of the division. A lot of people picked Arizona to be the fourth place team. We're sitting there in second. So yeah, I definitely think this, what we call, when you're, it's like Bizarro World. If you're a fan of the superheroes, the super friends, you had the Justice League, then you had the other version, which was the bad version. Everything was flip flopped,
Right.
And for the most part, I mean, we have a chance at 6-6. I do. We look back, Jay. Remember the win total for the beginning of the year was what, 5.5 for this team. So we already, we achieved that. And you would think that this, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and you would think that okay, the year's already been a success because we've we passed our projected win total. But no, it's like you want to be greedy now. We actually at 6-6 have a chance in some of the other divisions. Like if we were in the NFC North, I mean, we're pulling up the rear basically at 6-6 when you're chasing a team that's 12-1. So, I mean, with the way everything's going, we actually have a chance. And it's time to, in my opinion, for the Cardinals to wake up and start playing like they actually have a chance. You think about the couple of games last 2 weeks. I know they were on a 4-week heater before they went on this 2-game skid, but you got to be greedy in these situations where you weren't satisfied with that 4-game win streak. Right now we could very easily be on a 6-game heater. But for whatever reason we've cooled off, and it's almost like we're trying to find it again. And I said to you last week, just as quickly as everybody was praising the Cardinals because we had won 4 in a row, and all of a sudden now we're 2 in the hole. And everybody's forgotten about that 4-game win streak just that quickly. And we're no longer in first place. And then, heaven forbid, we lose this one, make it 3 in a row. And we're now looking at, and as you mentioned, we're looking up at the Seahawks basically with a 3-game deficit because of the tiebreaker. So, I mean, as fast as you start, hurting your arms, shoulders because everybody's patting everybody on the back, it can turn on you just like that. And we're in that danger zone right now because this is a really, really important week, and you'd hate to see a season derailed, for whatever reasons. Like I said, I can't figure out what it is about this team that continues to just be so up and so down. And like I said, it's right in front of us. It's going to be a tall task because Seattle, just as we do, tend to be Jekyll and Hyde, but they're on the other side right now. They're on that 2-game win streak themselves after blowing a couple. And, it's just they're going to come down here hoping to put their foot on our necks. And if we don't match their intensity in our own home, this should be our game to take. But if we don't match their intensity, I mean, the season could be just, it's like trying to catch a runny egg, man. Just going through our fingers. You all done it. Had that yolk in your hand, all of a sudden start squeezing through your fingers. Next thing it's all over the place. And that's what could be happening if we don't win this game.
Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. He's Ed Smith. I'm Javon Adams. We are presented by Bet Online. So if I throw out to you 22, 6, 31, 29, 28, those are just the point totals that the Arizona Cardinals have put up over the last few games. And that outlier seems to be that 6 points that they put up when they went to Seattle. But is there something wrong with the Cardinals offense? I would say yes, there is over the last couple because of those two, the losing streak, this 2-game losing streak that they're in, meaning that some decisions by the quarterback, maybe some of the play calls by the offensive coordinator, or am I off base? Were those just outliers? That 6-point was an outlier, and then there were just some quirky things that happened last week when in last week's game that shouldn't, or you don't expect to rear their ugly head. What do you think? Is there an issue with the Arizona Cardinals offense, and if so, how do you address that?
I think what's wrong, Jay, is another one of those words we've been throwing around all season. It's the inconsistency of our plan of attack. And what we talked about at the beginning of the year, we were trying to establish an identity. And every now and then it's like it peaks out and shows us what it could be, but then it goes away. It disappears. The identity of this team should be James Conner, and James Conner. We should be getting him the ball anywhere between 20 to 25 times at a minimum. And there should be a game or two where he, gets it. I know nowadays you don't run one particular running back any more than about 25 times. Dare I say, back in the day, we used to see 30 game total totals and stuff like that. We don't see that much anymore. But he's that type of running back where we should. It all starts with James Conner, if you ask me. It doesn't necessarily start with Kyler Murray. He's a great quarterback, great tools and everything like that. But I'm under the understanding, if you watch the games that we've had, what seems like real success, it starts with giving James the ball, and not just when it starts off running well and then we keep with it. No, sometimes it doesn't start well, but you make it well because you stay with it and you force him down team's throat. We're at a point now where usually within the first quarter or so, you can tell if the Cardinals, if the game plan is there or if it isn't, because you'll see a run here, they'll get away from it for a few, then a run there, and it's like, what are they doing? Those games where you see him getting it going, and he's beating his chest, and the offensive line, they're all getting off the ground 5 and 6 yards up the field. It's like, this is going to be a pretty good day for that offense. So for me, it all starts there. That brings so much more to the table. It sets everything up. The running game should be the appetizer and the main course, if you ask me. It should be what starts and finishes these games for the Cardinals. We just, I'm not sure whether in today's game, the coaching staff, meaning Petsy and as the offensive corner, it's not sexy sometimes, the run ball, and it's also it's too old school. Whereas I got to be so innovative. If I'm not throwing the ball all over the place, then we just look normal, and it doesn't look or feel quite right. So I'm not sure what the issue is, but we abandon it too quickly. We don't let it simmer, and that, for me, that's where it should all start and finish for this team. And like I said, Murray does a great job as supplementing. Once again, I would say I think we need to get him more involved in the running game as well. He's not using his legs, but it should all start with James Conner and finish with James Conner as well.
Yes, I agree with that, but I would think that trying to push the ball a little bit more downfield, so trying to inject that a bit into the offensive game plan may be something to be able to help. I mean, while we began to sing those praises of one Trey McBride, and he is excellent, and he is becoming a fast rising star here in the National Football League. I think if you want to be able to open up the offense and give yourself more options, trying to not just push the ball downfield as in I threw it once or twice and that's it, but really trying to design plays where you can get those one or two, as they call them, those chunk plays, those explosive plays, to put the defense on notice that we have this in our repertoire, which can give you an opportunity to be able to have some of those maybe quick hit drives, because the Cardinals we've seen some of those long drives that they've had where they've been able to put points up on the board, but it goes back to what is it, identity. So getting back to the run, if it's run first, that's fine, and then being able to be consistent with it enough so that you don't have these lulls in your offensive output. And when I say that, I'm not looking at the final score. score, but being able to be consistent enough with each drive so that you kind of know what to get and not have that meltdown at the end of a game or when it's a very vital or very important series that you're coming into.
I totally agree with you, Jay. And I would say the easiest and best way to go about that is play action, bro. If you're running the ball, you start sucking those defenders up, getting them really concerned about our running game. Because I guarantee you, those DBs, they do not want to see James Conner breaking through to the secondary. They want to try to get him as quick as possible to the ground. And that means getting up to the line of scrimmage when all possible and necessary. What happens, you start getting guys cheating because they know they got to get there before he gets that head of steam going. Good play action, bruh. That's when you got Marvin Harrison running over the top. It makes it easier. We're not, I continue to say we're not a drop back. We should not be just an all, pocket drop back team. Yet that's what they seem like they're trying to do with Murray when he does take the shots downfield. We got to assist him a little bit. You got to run the ball, suck them up, great play action. Next thing you know, you're going over the top, 2 or 3 or 4 times a game. But we don't set anything up to make them worried about anything, to pull their secondary down into the mix, to then give us an opportunity to take those deep shots with a little more ease. So, yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It's all cause and effect. If you do one thing, it's going to cause them to do something else, which will then affect how other things are more easily brought into the play, into the game plan. So, once again, it's just one of those things where it seems like they're still trying to figure it out on the run, and we just haven't gotten there yet. We're still playing checkers or checkers when everybody else is playing chess out there on the field.
So I want to ask this, and as I say this, I know that Kyler has been able to, the Miami game comes to mind where he was able to kind of bring the Cardinals back. But I came across an article or a column on Cards Wire, and it posed a question about being a turn the tide quarterback. Now, are there a couple of quarterbacks that come to mind for you, ones that can turn the tide? So things are going wrong. Things are falling apart all around you. Maybe the defense that you're expecting to be a stalwart or stout isn't as stout as you expected, or your star receiver is having a couple of drops, but they can turn the tide and be able to lead you to a victory. Are there a couple of quarterbacks that come to mind for you that are that way? And then after you answer that, do you think Kyler is a turn the tide quarterback? I would say no, but it doesn't mean that he can't be. But at this point, when they probably need him to be kind of coming down the stretch, I don't know if he is a turn the tide and right the ship type of quarterback. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
There, right off the bat, Mahomes, when things aren't going well, when they lose guys in the middle of games, wide receivers go down. He's that dude, Joe Burrow, with everything he's dealing with their defense over there in Cincinnati. They can't, he's putting up monster numbers. They can't win games because anytime you can't win and you're scoring 38 and close to 40 points and you still can't win games, that's not your fault. That's not your issue. Right. But he's definitely putting up numbers. And then Josh Allen, you can put the whole refrigerator, the kitchen sink, everything on his back from when things aren't going well, and he can lead you back. And I'm in agreement with you. Whereas Kyler, it's like
he's had a solid season. It's not to say that he hasn't had a good season this year. It's solid, but it's if you're trying to continue to grow and take that next step as an organization to get to be at least a playoff contender, then those are some of the things and the characteristics that you need from your quarterback to be able to help you to get there.
It's almost like he's walking around with kryptonite in his pocket and doesn't know it. It's like, it'd be like Superman walking around and did laundry and somebody slipped some in there. And he's like, I wonder why he's just not as strong as he usually is, or just something is missing. And it I don't know whether it's Kyler has decided to mute himself a little bit, meaning remove his legs and dynamic nature or whether the coaching staff was like, this is our guy. He's already had a one knee injury and we can't have him out there, it's our franchise guy. We can't have him just running around like crazy out there. It's half of his game plan is missing, and that for me, it turns him into such an average quarterback that, and because of his size, I don't know if you noticed, Jay, but we have a shorter quarterback here in Arizona. And when we just decide to keep him in the pocket, that works against him a little more than some, I'll say some other quarterbacks. It's harder for him to see through the trees. We talked about that so many times. They should have him on the move where if something's not there in front of him, he can take off and get you 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever it is. But for whatever reason, they keep him in the pocket. He doesn't scramble much. When he does, and definitely like every now and then they'll show us one of those planned runs. And what happened a few weeks ago, he goes out the back door for 45 or 50 or whatever it is. That should be something that's always in the back of the defender's mind when they play the Cardinals. It doesn't look like they're respecting that for the most part. I mean, maybe when we get close down to the goal line, then it becomes a part of the game plan. But right now, he just seems, almost neutered. Like something is just not there. And, and him being a pocket passer is not going to be the best version of himself to put him in the category of game shifter. He's, for him to drop back 35, 40 times and just try to pick apart from the pocket, it's not the same as Kyler throwing the ball maybe 25, 30 times, but then mixing in 10 runs that either happen organically or planned, meaning he drops back, you got him on the move already, he doesn't see anything out there, he scrambles, slides, you look up and it's 2nd and 1 because he just picked up 9, or he gets that third down conversion or whatever it is. We're just not seeing a whole bunch of that. And yeah, to answer your question in a long-about way is, no, he's not the dude that I envisioned running this offense and being such a huge part of it that, teams are up. I'm sure teams are always saying, hey, remember, don't forget about him. But it's not one of those things like it's not on the front of their minds. They're not forcing teams to game plan and worry and, be like so concerned about, man, if we let this dude get free with his legs, or if they ever decide to like turn him loose, man, you have no idea. That's a whole different ballgame we're dealing with. We just haven't gotten to that point yet. And I'm not sure whether it's because he doesn't want to do it or because the coaching staff doesn't want to do it.
Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. He is Ed Smith. I'm Javon Adams. We're presented by Bet Online. So let's get to this before what the Cardinals need to do in order to win this game. But I'll ask you this: how much longer can the Cardinals defense continue to keep this up? So yes, I know that they lost, what was it, 23-22 last week to the Minnesota Vikings. In essence, though, the defense did enough to win. You think about losing to the Seahawks 16-6. The defense did enough to win, to be able to put the team in a position to win. And you just wonder. And so there have been other games where we've won where the defense didn't do it. But for the most part, the defense this season has been that group, has been that side of the ball, has overperformed, has delivered more than what we expected, over-delivered there. Can the defense continue to do this, especially if we don't want to have a repeat? We talked about wanting to use James Conner in the first game with the Seahawks. The Cardinals only had 49 rushing yards as an offense. So can the defense continue to do this? Is it I don't want to say fair, but can they count on them to keep them in games? Because I think the offense is going to have to step up at some point and have one of those explosions that we saw kind of earlier in the season.
This might be the game that they actually need that explosion. And I'll take you a step further back, Jay. Remember in that 16-6 loss up in Seattle, we gave away a pick 6. So it wasn't the defense. Defense is not out there throwing passes. The pick 6 means that subtract 7 from that 16. They only gave up 9 points on the road and still lost the game. And for me, this being, especially because the two teams have just seen each other 2 weeks ago, they know tendencies. They're going to go get after it. Both teams know or probably feel this isn't going to be a 16-6 here. This one has the potential to be that 30-28 or 33-30, whatever it is. And this would, in my opinion, this will be the game where the offense is asked,
Okay,
requested.
well, then let's get into that then. So what do the Cardinals need to do in order to win this game then?
Well, man, you brought all the points up earlier, and it's a formula, and I'll give it to you as simple as I can. They got to run the ball first, establish the ground game with James Conner, and then just as you said, bro, they got to take some shots downfield, and that all starts with inviting the Seahawks defenders up because they can't stop James, and you start taking some of those shots over the top. One of the problems with this, like, ball control, trying to dink and dunk up the field, Jay, is at some point, the Cardinals have done a great job this year of not penalizing themselves and doing stupid things. But on the long 10, 12, 13 play drives, there's always going to be a hiccup. Nobody goes down the field and doesn't commit a holding penalty or illegal procedure or hands to the face or something like that, which will set you back. Those are drive stoppers. So what do you have to do? Every now and then, you got to have one of those, 2 or 3 play 75-yard drives. We haven't had those explosions, and that's what we need. Kyler throws a beautiful deep ball. We just don't get a chance to see it every night as much as we should. We don't get to see Marvin Harris streaking up the field. We don't get to see Kyler rolling out, design roll to the right, and then letting it go because he's so busy trying to find stuff through all the trees. And the sidelines look so inviting because I can see out there. So let's go left, let's go right. We're not worrying about the vertical. And for me, like I said, it all starts with the running game. You entice them now. They can't stop Connor because he's beating them up for 5 and 6 at a pop. And, we're picking up those first downs. And then let's hit them, man. Let's go over the top to create some, quick hitting because I guarantee you they're going to, the good and the bad about Seattle, especially you got Metcalf out there. You got Geno, the good about Geno is he's not afraid. He's not scared. He's going to throw him out there. The bad about Geno, which we also have to take advantage of, is every now and then Geno's going to throw us one. You got to be ready to catch him and go the other way with them. So, our plan of attack should be very similar to theirs. Run the ball and let's get it up the field more, where we're taking shots down the field at some of those big plays. If we continue to try to do what we're doing, we're going to end up with these 6 play outputs.
We got to keep Leonard Williams. We got to keep him on top of our mind as well.
Exactly. But like I said, this should be a game where the game plan is we're going to be super aggressive. We're going up the field vertically, and we're going to not forget about the run game because that's where it should all start. But hey, when we let Kyler throw the ball, let's get him out and about, and let's start heaving it down the field a little more, and maybe we'll get you'll hit. Here's the thing: sometimes even when you don't hit on the big play, there's the threat of the one of those yellow hankies being thrown on the field. We don't even get those because we're not taking those shots. We should do a deep dive on how many pass interference calls we have, where we rank into our offense, because I very rarely see anybody having to interfere with us because everything's in front of them. We're not going over the top. We're not forcing anybody to have to cover us deep. So this would be the game where I would say, hey, let's get at it and, out of our comfort zone, run the ball more effectively, efficiently, and then let's take some shots over the top. That's how you beat would win this game. And then on the other side, you just got to stop their run and be ready to grab those ones that Geno just tosses up there inexplicably because he's going to do that every now and then. He's a quarterback that lives by the sword, dies by the sword. This would be a great time to take advantage of a couple of those, which we've been hurt. We were hurt by the pick 6 up there, which, like I said, it was 7 of their 16 points. Let's get one on this side this time around,
I hear you. So having said all that, when we look at what this game is or the importance of this game, what do you think who do you think will be victorious, and do you have a score in mind for this matchup as the Seahawks come to State Farm Stadium to take on the Arizona Cardinals?
This is a season definer for me, Jay. And because we're in this We won the 4 in a row, but now we're in this swoon where we've lost 2 in a row. It almost feels like we're in that bad space, and I don't like the bad space. This is one of those, we should win this game because we're at home. I got a bad feeling about this one. I got a feeling, and I do think there are going to be some points scored, definitely by Seattle. I don't think they're only going to be held to 16. But the problem is, can we keep up with them on the other side? And right now, I'm just not seeing the explosiveness from this offense, and it feels like it gets away from us just enough where it's like a 27-30 game Seattle, unfortunately, and that would be a step in the way in the bad direction, because, as you mentioned, it would then give them firm control, at least as far as us in the division, over us, because they'd have the sweep. So, I'm going to go 30-27 Seattle. We don't pick with our hearts, we pick with our heads here. So that's what I say.
I say it'll be, I do think it'll be close, but I don't think it'll be as high scoring as you think. I think it might be something around 2017, 21-17, something around there. I think the Cardinals are probably going to come up short. And I if that happens, so looking at the rest of the schedule, so if that does happen, so I want to just kind of look at the Cardinals schedule. So if we look at it, because of course they have this week, they have the Seahawks, and they take on New England, who they should beat, question mark. Then we have Carolina Panthers, which they better beat, but then that puts a lot of pressure on them, especially if they're in a tailspin. And then they have the Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers, which are division games. So that that makes that raises the stakes there. So this is a very important game to win. So I definitely hope that I'm wrong, because if they win the Seattle Seahawks game going into the Patriots game, then that gives them a little bit more. I think that makes them feel a little bit better about themselves. And so then they have a little bit. Then they have a little more to play with. They can bet a little bit more on this next hand. So, but I think it'll probably be about 21-17, the Seattle Seahawks. But I hope that number is reversed and maybe the Cardinals will come out on top.
Yeah. Sure do hope so.
So he is Ed Smith. I am Javon Adams. We do this twice a week, so make sure you tell a friend about what we have going on here. The first podcast of the week is always looking back on the most recent opponent and kind of reviewing that, and then the second podcast of the week is where we look at the upcoming opponent and we break that down and give some thoughts where that is concerned. But again, we are presented by Bet Online, and make sure you tell a friend about what we have going on here. And as we always say around this time, are you kidding?